but I don't know. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So, Mars, in approximately 6 hours, maybe closer to 7, maybe closer to 6.5. Today, at some point, Mars will be transiting into Pisces. Now, I'm not going to say that Mars in Pisces is one of my favorite transits, but I love the potential of it. Oh, wow. Cool. So I'm going to do that thing that I do sometimes when a planet goes from one sign to another. We're going to see 3 cards for Mars and Pisces, 1 card for what Mars and Pisces, or Mars and Aries is, 3 cards for Mars and Aquarius, 1 card for the intro to Mars and Pisces, or the transition, and then 3 cards for Mars and Pisces. I've been Mars already trying to rush Mars through Pisces. Wow. But we're not going to do is that. And then the rest we'll see. The reason why I'm like, wow. So I tried to pull the cards out of the deck and made a mess, but we have this ace at the bottom of the deck. And I'm like, whoa. Because you see that? That's like the standstill. That's the person in the standstill. And we can see the swooshy swooshes and then their heart, their anatomical heart, because it's reading more as like the right side instead of like heart chakra, which is more centered. Where did we last see the standstill? When I looked at the elements and it came out with the element of water. Was it the medicine wheel in the standstill, I think? And it had that like channeling energy. Maybe it wasn't the medicine wheel. Maybe it was something else. But I know it came out around water. I remember also in that, what are we told that we're giving up and what we're actually giving up? We were actually giving up the standstill. Now, it's easy, not easy. There are many circumstances and situations in which giving up a standstill would feel or seem like a good thing because we would think that it's welcoming momentum. And it's interesting because I saw a post a while ago and I saw it again like yesterday or the day before yesterday about like people not knowing how to be bored or something. But it was implying or kind of implying that like if we don't know how to be bored, then it becomes difficult to learn how to sit with ourselves. And so, yeah, anyway, I didn't necessarily expect that. Cool. And it's an ace. What is the ace of? I don't know. Numbers may just be numbers today because, and then we cut to the 8 of, that has to be the 8 of Swords. This 8 of Swords is given Hangman for obvious reasons. But it's giving me like a cocoon more so than this like person being trapped in the web. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to be using the Dungeons and Dragons tarot deck because I wanted to use, I don't even know how many I have left. I'm so sad. I wish I could have used all of the ones that I bought on here live, trying to get a reading because I don't know. Maybe I feel like I've also been like, I don't know if that's my Piscean nature or, you know, where it's like, I want to like through story, you know, and then who knows how it resonates. Maybe sometimes I can find it, we can find it. Sometimes the story is what the story is, and we find out the moral as we live life. But yeah, let's get into it. I have the book. There are quests and stuff here. I don't know. A traveling circus's giant spider has died, leaving its owner distraught. Can you get some giant spider eggs for him to hatch? Wow. I just literally opened up the book. This is on the 5 of strength. And I just like read the quest. And it's talking about a giant spider, as we saw dude in the silk. Oh, now at the bottom of the deck is this opening door with the page and the tiger. I used this deck when I was on a chalk, and I remember because there's a gate in the back of the cemetery that's like never open. It opens, but like every time I'm there, it's not open. And that day it was open. Also, I posted yesterday, I mentioned it, the spires and the skyscrapers in Dubai. It was giving me the Gate of Sahakiel energy, or the energy of the Gate of Sahakiel. Probably because how like dusky it was. How dusky or dawny, a page and another page. There was another page, another other page that was at the bottom of the deck, but I accidentally pulled the card out, so it wasn't the bottom when I looked at it. We saw all the nights yesterday, maybe. We've seen 3 out of 4 queens. Now this is 3 out of 4 pages. I don't know if these are multiple people or multifaceted people. Who knows? Okay. I only wish, like, I love this deck. I only wish that there was some indication on, like, which suit was which. Girl. Okay, I'm gonna breathe for a second. Okay. Made myself a little lightheaded, but that's fine. 3 cards for Mars in Aquarius as Mars departs from the sign in which it conjuncted its co-ruler. We have this too. She's almost given me. Oh, one girl. Was she a tiefling? I don't think she was a tiefling though. The one girl who I was like, I don't know whose side she's on. And it was like in the past, it seemed like she was on the opposing side, but in the present, it seems like she's on the same side. Is this some kind of like casual magic? Because it's like she's reading the book and then just casually summoning this imp like creature potentially, or maybe she's reading the book and learning how to bind it. Girl, I don't know. But it's interesting that this is Mars in Aquarius, though. Because I would almost expected a little bit more from Mars and Pisces. And that spiritual, what lies beyond the mortal realm energy of Pisces. And with the potential carelessness of Mars of like, oh, like, let's just do it. I'll get all 3 of them and then I'll look at the. No. I'll look at the book first. This has to be the 2 of. I want to say the 2 of charisma. but I'm sure it isn't. Oh, it is. It actually is the Two of Charisma. Wow. I don't know why this was giving me Two of Charisma. I was like, I feel like this is the Two of Charisma. I don't think I've ever seen this card before. It is so interesting to me, though. Charisma is Earth, maybe, girl, because they don't say. Well, maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is not for me to try to treat this as if it were something else. So this is the Two of Charisma. This being the Two of Charisma, I almost wonder if while Mars has been in Aquarius, if we haven't like garnered some kind of attention. Which I guess isn't surprising because there's been the favorable attention of like you are navigating your journey so well that like you're actually getting attention. Maybe some of the things that were meant to be, it's almost like if there were things that you've overcome that it was supposed to take you like a lot longer to overcome, it shuffles the board. Like, oh, like you weren't supposed to get over this for another 5 years. You weren't supposed to. But now that you've gotten over it, we have to like queue up a whole new set of experiences, which again is the energy of the shortcut. Living life on the edge of textured reality. And that there was a point in time where that was coming out. Like it came out and then it came back, and now it's almost starting to creep back up. Because I've talked about it recently. I don't remember what video or how, but it's been recent. The shortcut and living life on the end of textured reality. It's like if you play there's some video games where maybe they're like really big, and maybe you go into an area you're not supposed to be in. Maybe you glitch into a part that's off limits, and they're like, there's no textures. There's probably like sky, maybe some background, but it's like there's no land, there's no nothing. Or maybe there's some things, but it's not fully loaded. Then there are other games where it's almost like if the graphics processor or the processor isn't keeping up with the momentum of your character, it's like you can enter an area before it's loaded, so you see it load in front of your eyes. But it's kind of like that. That's textured reality, what's already loaded. And so to work through something before you were supposed to have worked through it is to be at the edge of everything that was already pre-registered or pre-queued. That's the shortcut. Mm. When I mentioned the shortcut, I was talking about the golden door. That gate that the page and the tiger were at, there was there was a golden light that was spilling through the crack in the door. Interesting. Our ability to manage our time with grace and ease by getting clean on our priorities. Okay, well. A group of Viking warriors are in a longboat. They claim to have found a way to the river Styx, and they're going to fight devils. Girl. Now, we saw the Viking yesterday, I believe, in the Ten of Swords with the Valkyrie. We've been mentioning, or the river Leith has been coming up more, the river of forgetfulness, but then also the unnamed river of remembrance. I guess we've been seeing the Quester a lot, the Six of Swords. Hermes was a psychopomp somewhere. I was like, oh, probably in the mythology book. So I was like, oh, this is why Hermes is a psychopomp. I've never known why. We're going to go fight devils. Was that? But I guess that would be the energy of like the shortcut. Maybe there were devils that were conquered internally, or maybe even externally in ways that we don't even necessarily fully know yet. You know what I mean? I was watching a show. I finished the show that I was watching, yesterday. I finished the second season, and there was an area that was like controlled by demons and an evil dragon. The evil dragon was an evil dragon, but he was also a dragon of like, whoever pays me until I get bored. So peace with that dragon. There was no peace. But anyway, they defeated the dragon. They cleaned out the demons. They lifted the miasma. But there was a concern about like, if too much money and if too many goods were to enter the reclaimed area too quickly, how it could destabilize greater economies or something. And there was a guy who knew all about economy that could that had the know-how on like how to effectively and efficiently like bring an economy back, or how to bring a place back to life. The dwarves were chased out of the mountains, the forest was ruined, the elf village was in shambles. There was contention between the dwarves and the elves in the past, before the evil dragon and the demons came, but after, they were like, let's also work on our relationship. Let's work together. And there's something about just like the logistics of something that may take some time. But there's like an ease and an effortlessness with which she does this, which I guess for this to be Mars in Aquarius, I shouldn't be surprised, because that's the energy that Mars was holding in Aquarius. Mars was no longer that short-tempered, anything that moves, looking for a fight. There was a sort of righteousness to Mars. Or at the very least, there was a sort of knowing to the consequences of action. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just keep going with it. So the second card for Mars in Aquarius. And I am going to do it as the transition today. So, because I like that. That makes it, I mean, it's kind of the same, but easier. All right. I need one more. Let's do these one by one. One more card, please. One more card, please. For Mars in Aquarius. We're just going to shuffle until they fall out today. That's the vibe. I'm going to close my eyes. No. Come on. I'm not going to rush. Thank you. This one's face down. Ooh, the world at the bottom of the deck. See, this has an energy of conquest. Or like, this is the end of the quest where they're celebrating. The world, I guess it would be the end of the journey. They've got their loot. The folks who survived. They're drinking their drinks. The card that came out is the Fool, which is a bard. Is this a volcano, or is that she's giving volcano, but it could just be a mountain. Excuse me. We see the little white animal. It's almost giving fox for some reason, but I think it's a dog. And then there's like the top of the mountain, or this volcano. See all the like the bubbles and the sparkles around his foot. I think bards have a spell that lets them fly. D&D flying bard spells. All sources of flight in the game so far. Can bards learn fly? The Bard 5e can also pick fly up later at later levels thanks to their magical secrets feature. Okay. Or was it an item that let him fly? There were some fellas that I used to watch play Dungeons and Dragons, and there was a flying bard. That's why I'm like, I'm pretty sure they can fly. Magical secrets feature at later levels. So this is a later level bard that would have access to the magical secrets feature. I guess that will let him fly. See, because the world is at the bottom of the deck, and because the loot is here, we see the treasures, we see the celebration at the end, but we don't necessarily see, like, throughout the campaign, you level up. And as you level up, you get access to more skills and more abilities, more features. So this would almost be like one of the skills or one of the features that was acquired as a result of what's happened along this campaign. Am I going to read all of these? I feel like I don't really have to, but sure, why not? Following your heart with innocence and wonder, you encounter a gnome who says that if you follow him, he'll lead you to a wondrous treasure. How short is that journey? Because the only treasure we see here is with the world card, and from the Fool to the world is literally the entirety of a journey. We see it's not even the magician. Hey Kirsty, how you doing today? I thought of you today. I got on my WhatsApp to send my journey buddy a voice note and to finish listening to the one that she sent me. And then I was like, oh, I haven't talked to Kirsty in a hot second. But yeah, this is literally like, but maybe like it's the journey. The real treasure is the friends that you make along the way and the gift skills and magical abilities that you pick up. Is this just Mars? Was Mars in Aquarius? I guess it could have been. Mars, what, conjuncted Pluto in Aquarius? It conjuncted Venus in Aquarius. I wonder what degree the new moon was at. I'm just curious. Was that Feb 10, I think? I'm pretty sure it was after I got back from India. So it would have been at like 20, 21 degrees. I mean, Pluto's not getting that far. I'm glad to hear it. I don't know. Has there? I guess that's what the card is saying. The card is saying that Mars in Aquarius has also brought us some kind of magical secrets feature. The thing about the magical secrets, though, is it has the power to completely change a journey. It's also interesting that this is the card that came out because when I was looking at the shortcut, this is what it was like. I'm gonna draw it for you. Give me 1 second. This is what it was like. What is this? Clip web pages into notes while browsing? Oh, snap. I feel like I want to do stuff like that. We'll see if I ever get there. But that's what I feel like. Oh, that's not. Nah, nah. I'm a need. Let's try this one. So the blue line is the journey. The blue line is what the journey was supposed to be. The green dashed line is the shortcut. It's like we were supposed to our our past experiences, present attitude, and projection of the future was supposed to have us take that dip, but for some reason we don't take the dip. Like we bypass the dip and we continue straight along that pathway. That's beyond textured reality because our experience, and again, is it really possible for us to do things that we weren't? I think so. I don't think it's necessarily super common. I don't know how necessarily easy it is, but I do think that it's at the very least possible that sometimes we make a choice and decision that we didn't think that we would make, that no one else thought that we would make, that even the divine didn't necessarily know whether or not we'd make it. I think it's one of those like there's a possibility that we can make this choice, but it's far more likely that we choose to do something else. Like maybe we don't we haven't exhibited a huge propensity for listening to our intuition and discernment. And so it's like our intuition or discernment was telling us something, and maybe it's almost like Seven of Cups energy again. Like we were gonna, or that was Seven of Swords, we were gonna go down one path and get ambushed, but our path led a different way. And so that's why I'm like, that's how the shortcut came out. It was like the gap or the valley, but we just go straight as if there were a bridge. I almost want to look before and after. I'm going to do it. But that's why I'm like, oh, like this bard could fly. So this bard isn't going to fall into this pit where the mountain is or the volcano. It's going to go straight across. But because this came out for Aquarius season, it's like that's already happened or it's already happening. So in Pisces season, not season, and for Mars and Pisces, that's like that could literally be the thing that pushes to make a dream more and more capable. Like I would be so interested to see what the Mars Saturn conjunction in Pisces is going to bring. Hey Holly, how you doing? Oh my goodness. All the children. Well, I hope everything goes okay. Excuse me. Moon in Virgo. Oh, that's right now. Moon in Libra. Oh, this is Taurus. Yeah, this is Taurus. I was like, hold up. Are we going to have two full moons? Two Libra full moons in Aries season? No. So this is a few days after this. Oh, no. Mars and Saturn. Okay. I was looking at Mars and Neptune for a second. April. Oh gosh, don't say it's April 8th. Okay. On April 8th, they're going to be a degree away. So when we have that new moon, Aries, solar eclipse, it's exactly conjuncting Chiron. I did not know that. Like almost to the minute. I'm looking at 1:16 Central, Monday, April 8th. Moon is at 19 degrees 21 minutes. Aries. Sun is at 19 degrees 23 minutes. Aries. Chiron is at 19 degrees 24 minutes. Literally an astrological minute. That is like basically exactly conjunct. Mercury retrograde exactly conjuncting Eris, also in Aries. Like 5 degrees away. Oh, Icarus is going to be in Aries? What? When I was looking at Icarus, it like wouldn't get out of Pisces. Wow, so Icarus is going to be there too, I guess. That's a lot of Hygeia, Venus, North Node, Moon, Sun, Chiron, Icarus, Eris, Mercury, and the MC is going to be in Aries at the time of conjunction, looks like. Excuse me. Yeah, Mars is going to be 13 degrees Pisces. Saturn is going to be 14 degrees Pisces. So it's going to be a degree away from Saturn. Yeah, since this is Aries, there's already, or since this is Mars in Aquarius, I almost wonder, because the Bard isn't looking, I don't even know if the Bard's eyes are open. Yeah, they are. Because the Bard isn't looking, I almost wonder if it's possible for the Bard to not even realize that they're doing what they're doing. It's very like Peter. I was gonna say, Looney Tunes. It's very Peter in the water, where Jesus was like chilling out on stormy seas. And he was like, "Hey, Peter, like the waves are like crashing. Come join me out here." And Peter's like, I'm no Jesus. Like, I can't. And Jesus was like, just give it a try. And Peter did it for like a step. And then reality kicked in and like Peter plunged. And maybe there's some other things. But it's given Looney Tunes because it's like characters do that in Looney Tunes. They'll run and run and run and run off of the cliff, and they only fall when they stop and realize where they are. They're doing something that defies logic. And then when the brain recognizes the logic, the body is subjected to it. It's also that one episode of SpongeBob where they had a campfire or whatever. And then they were like, wait, if we're underwater, how can there be a, and then the fire went out. It's like that kind of energy. I don't know if the bard realizes what they did or what they were doing. Interesting. But again, it almost feels like it's the same as like this very casual, like casually subduing these little impish devils, like not even. Did I even finish my thought with it? There was the energy of like the positive attention that we garnered, but then maybe there's also like not necessarily super positive attention, but like with this fool, excuse me, it's almost like pitfalls that have been avoided entirely. Again, like that Seven of Swords, the person waiting in ambush for on a path that like the two main characters weren't even taking. And there has lately, it's been the energy of like what our energy and what our aura makes space for. So there are the things that we attract effortlessly because of the magnetism of the luminosity of the light that we hold. but there are also things that we naturally repel, almost like a force field. Like they can't even get close. And so it doesn't require much thought or effort. It could be happening, and we honestly, again, like we don't even realize. But that again almost plays into maybe the behind the scenes nature of this card and how things may have to take a certain, like there may be certain procedures that certain things have to go through, so it's not necessarily immediate, right? So like, for example, work is just an easy uh, environment to put this in. Like, let's say, for example, at work, there is a vacancy that people know about. Um, Maybe like they haven't made the announcement publicly yet, but there's a vacancy that's going to happen. And there's someone who is considered to take that spot. But it's like before they can take that spot or before it can be offered to them, there are certain procedures and there are certain things that must be done first. So on one hand, it's like it's known to everyone in the know or everyone who's qualified or authorized. It's known by everyone who's authorized to that sensitive information that the position is already that person's, and they have no clue that there's a vacancy. They have no clue that they're being considered. They don't know anything. They're just going about their day. And then one day it comes to their attention, but it's already been preceded by all of these things in the background. And maybe when Mars is in Pisces, oh well, there's a hangman at the cut. With another two of something being offered, look, see, they're offering it. Like, what? Hold up, there you go. That shiny golden Fabergé egg, like, what for me? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, here I thought, I don't know what they thought. See, maybe this is that Eight of Swords energy. See, because that one still has a few strings on it. The one up top doesn't. It was in the cocoon or something. I don't know. Cool. The third card came out quick. And it's this seven. Now, this seven, because of she's giving Seven of Swords, just because of the shady, masked person of affluence and influence type of energy. But maybe it ain't. Maybe it's the Seven of Wands that we've been seeing. What's Wands? Strength? Let's see. Let's look for the Seven of Strength. Well, it is not the Seven of Strength. There goes wishful thinking. It's the Seven of Intelligence, which is, I think, akin to the Suit of Swords, but it's intelligence. How we play games, hide our real selves, and mask our true intentions out of fear or hurt. A doppelganger has infiltrated the king's court, and the king seeks someone who can root him out. This is the last card for Mars in Aquarius. Maybe this is just like someone hiding. I wonder if, like, so in that example that I just gave, right? This could be like someone who like knows, someone who found out somehow. Maybe it was someone who had access and authorization to that knowledge. Maybe they were like, hey, just a heads up. If anyone asks, you didn't hear it from me, but this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Like, and you're being considered for it. And then like they show up and they're acting like, oh my gosh, what? Me? I had no clue. What? Like it could be that. The Seven of Swords is. Oh, I already put the deck away. I just need a list. It's something in Aquarius. What is it? 5, 6, 7. It's the third decan of Aquarius. Maybe Venus. Wait, I just saw the Seven of Swords in the Rogue. It was about to chop the girl's hair off. It was the Seven of Swords and the Ace of Wands that came out to clarify the Three of Swords. It was the awakening because the Ace of Wands was the awakening, and then the person was asleep in the Seven of Swords. And it was that energy of like, she's going to wake up right before something happens. And whatever that energy is, isn't going to do anything to the girl while she's awake. That's why it's doing it while she's asleep and vulnerable. Oh, well. Here I am running to the SKT. I didn't get the bridge. I forgot. I don't even know where this deck is. I just put all the cards away. And of course, I put them back where they weren't before. So I have to find them. I feel like it should be around here with the other Lenormand. But it doesn't look like there's anything under this. Nope, there wasn't. It's the Gilded Reverie. Gilded Lenormand Reverie. There's the Gilded Tarot Royale. 1 second. Ooh. Is it down here? It shouldn't be, but I guess it could be. No, I don't know where this deck is. Where's my Gilded Lenormand Reverie? Hello? 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 I'm pretty sure there's nothing under there. Nope. Are you up here? Did I not put you back? Okay, maybe we won't go looking for the bridge. It's fine. We'll see. If I remember after and it still seems relevant. Well, I guess it was like the magical secrets feature. So I will not pull before and after the bridge because it's a magical secret that Aquarius revealed to Mars. The Rogue. The Rogue. That was a failed roll. The Rogue. Oh, it got stuck. I just drug it. I didn't roll that R. I drug it. I dragged that R. The Rogue. Rogue. There it is. It's Moon in Aquarius. That's what it is. Oh, Moon in Aquarius. Oh, yeah, that's why I was like, oh, Moon in Aquarius. That was our Lunar New Year. That was now the Year of the Dragon. Girl, don't play games with me. 1 second. Stop. Go away. Yeah, it's cool. I know someone who may be interested though. Okay. Moon in Aquarius. Oh, this is Mars in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius. So yeah, something that's like hidden or not necessarily revealed. But the moon can also be the revealer of things unknown. See, now this gives the Fool a different color. But that's the thing about the fool. The fool is not unwise, but to some they can appear to be. Like the court jester. The court jester is actually very wise, very smart, very intelligent. You can't be in the presence of royalty. You can't be in the presence of nobility frequently, regularly, and be like uneducated or ill-educated, almost because like it's so easy to end up on the wrong side of a blade. You know what I mean? It's like you got to know. But as the jester, as the entertainment, like you're supposed to be like, oh, I don't know anything, like one of the Three Stooges, right? It's almost like it may be like we might think that dry comedy or very witty, very punny humor takes a lot of intelligence, but it could be one of those energies where it's like where slapstick comedy actually requires more intelligence. I don't want to say where it can require more intelligence than we think because of how coordinated and calculated and like the timing of it can be. Like when we integrate a physical aspect to the humor and to the comedy, then timing becomes even more important. It's like coordinated wrestling, right? It's like if you're supposed to reel when your opponent swings at you, if you do it too early, it's going to look fake. And if you do it too late, it's going to look delayed. Like like I already kind of knew that wrestling was fake, but we went to a town nearby. My family was in a WWE. There was a WWE phase, and they were in a town near us, and we went, and it was like the biggest, like someone. There was this much space in between, like there we go. This much space in between the arm when someone swung and the other person, and they still went against the ropes. And I was like, that didn't even connect. That's when I was like, okay, like I see it. Like, and we all saw that, right? What am I talking about? I got lost in the metaphor. What am I talking about? Oh, the timing of physical comedy, how it may like actually be, in order for it to be like believable or real or safe, there's actually like a lot of precaution and stuff that needs to happen and take place. So it's almost like this bard may be like pretending that they don't know what they're doing or making it seem like they may not know, but they might actually know. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. Now with this seven of intelligence, I'm like, well, what's the tea, sis? What's the truth? Moon in Aquarius. Or this could just be, it's almost like when someone becomes intelligent enough to know what doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And maybe that's this. Like maybe there is something happening, maybe there is something going on. And this seven of swords is just like, or the seven of intelligence is just like, I don't have to get involved in that. In fact, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to be involved. And maybe it like bothers somebody because maybe there's someone or something that like is trying to upset whoever. And again, like this is Mars we're talking about. And Mars is like just, I guess, as an energy in the zodiac in the sky. Mars is the easiest to excite, the slowest of wit. Like people may probably think that Mars is the slowest of wit because it's so quick to action. But it's almost like when Mars doesn't take the bait, then it disturbs whoever. Almost like And the choreographedness of that, it's almost like someone is expecting Mars to do something so that they can justify something else being done. Or it's like someone is trying to use the short temperedness of Mars to be like, oh, see, like here's Mars doing that Martian thing again. And it's almost like Mars being Mars was the key whatever in this grand story that was going to be told and woven. But Mars withheld. Mars didn't ride, like Mars didn't take the bait. So now it's like, well, what's the truth? It's like the whole illusion, the whole charade falls apart. And again, like this is Mars like overcoming these challenges and obstacles, Mars taking the shortcut. Like Mars was supposed to get derailed, to go on this whole thing, and then it's this whole whatever. But like Mars stayed above it. But again, that's kind of sort of the energy that Mars was like when Mars went to conjunct Pluto and when it left, like that's kind of the energy that it was having. Like Mars has matured and somebody didn't count on that. Something has matured, something has grown wise, and that wasn't factored into the equation. I wouldn't be surprised though, because the first thing that Mars came out with is this effortlessly subduing all these little imps, impish, whatever. And like imps by themselves are like, imps are kind of like ants. Like one isn't necessarily an issue. When you get a whole bunch of them, you got a problem. But like one or two by themselves, and there's only one in this card. So, all right. As Mars transits into Pisces, the transition between Mars Aquarius, Mars Pisces. Yeah. But again, like I feel like I talked about it more in context of Venus. Like Venus is going to approach Mars because Mars is always there to gas her up whenever she's feeling a certain type of way. But Mars has wisened up and Mars isn't going to take the bait. But obviously, it can be things outside of that too. It can be things beyond that. And in my opinion, that's one of the benefits of like a Mars and Saturn, like a tight Mars and Saturn relationship. Because Saturn gives Mars the structure in order for Mars to see itself in a higher light rather than like Mars being the nuisance, Mars being the dim wit, like quick to get into trouble. Like Saturn helps Mars see itself as a like as much more capable than the narrative and the story permits because it's easy to blame Mars whenever something goes wrong. You know what I mean? Or it's easy to try to throw Mars at something to make things worse. And then it's like, oh, well, that gosh darn Mars, here we go again. And it's like, but Mars is like, yeah, no. Mars gets to see itself in a different way. And it's again, it's that story of like when the troublemaker becomes not when they're reformed, but when they start helping, and then it's like Mars is welcome. Like oh yeah, like when Mars was immature and a child, like all children do, Mars got bored and caused trouble. But now that Mars is grown up, now that Mars is mature, like Mars helped me carry my bags to the car, you know, and Mars helped me cross the street. Mars weeded my garden and trimmed the topiary, the hedges. I don't know. Like Mars is a refined gentleman now. And for some, I wonder if this could be like a, well, how long can Mars uphold the illusion? Like Mars can't really change because planets don't change, people don't change, energy doesn't change. Like we are how we are and who we are. Eventually Mars is going to break, and like Mars never breaks. Because the image that we had of Mars is what Mars was convinced that it had to. It's what Mars was convinced that it was, because like everyone treated Mars like that. And it only took one, like, but that's the thing. Sometimes it only takes like one good teacher, one good mentor, one good friend, one good family member to help us correct that narrative and to see ourselves in a way that's more than everything that we've been told. It's like, oh, like I'm not whatever, I'm just whatever. Like, oh. And then it's like, yeah, it's never gonna break. It's sustainable. If it wasn't sustainable, then yeah, it would break. You know what I mean? But this is a Mars for which it is sustainable. This is the Mars that has the magical secrets feature and that can fly. Because at a later level, it's matured, it's gone through the journey, it's taken on that work, it's leveled up. Cool. All right, for the transition, Mars transitioning. Thank you. Oof. I saw this card before and I was like, ooh, now it has a context. It has a context of Saturn sort of working with Mars to help it unlock the power of its Eye of Agamotto or whatever. The beginning of Avengers Infinity War came on when I was at the gym, like the day before yesterday. Like, this is Saturn. This would be Mars in the light of like who it can be. And it's interesting that it's more heart chakra now, because in the other card it was like on the it was like anatomical heart because it was off to the right and not necessarily in the center. This one's in the center. Cool. Love it. Now the creatures behind them look pretty fierce and ferocious. But maybe also this is like Mars has come to terms with its inner shadow, while Mars has been in Aquarius. And so that also helps root out a lot of the self sabotaging behaviors and patterns that Mars may fall into. Also, she's obviously giving third eye, right? Because it looks like an eyeball. But it's kind of, I almost feel like it's almost a little bit between the heart and the solar plexus, because it feels like the heart would be a little higher. But I love it. Did I read the quest? I don't think I read the quest for the Seven of Intelligence. And also, because it's intelligence, seven is the number of like spirituality and stuff. But because this is intelligence, I feel like it plays into this energy of the magical secrets feature, because this is a beginning of an understanding of that which is inherently spiritual in nature. But it's a mind that is beginning to comprehend it. And maybe that's another reason why Mars and Aquarius was like, yeah, no. Mars and Aquarius was like, okay. I feel like this would be like, this isn't even an energy that can be tempted by anything earthly, because this is the seven of intelligence. This is where intelligence meets the spirituality of the seven. And it's like with this higher knowing, Mars is like, yeah, no. But anyway, let's look at this nine. What would this be the nine of? I want to say charisma again, but it may not be. Well, it's not the nine of wisdom. We know that. And it is not the nine of charisma. It's the nine of intelligence. We've seen the seven, the eight, and the nine of intelligence. The page of intelligence is the only page I haven't seen. So we've seen the page of strength, the page of charisma, and the page of wisdom. I have not seen her yet. Looking at how thoughts can create turmoil and finding a way to observe them from a dispassionate space of stillness. A mind flayer has used an intellect devourer to take over the prison warden. It uses him to prey on the prisoners. Oh, yeah, I did read that. The doppelganger that infiltrated the king's court. I did read that. A mind flayer. It's interesting. I was literally just thinking about this the other day. Or not the other day, before I went live, because I wanted to grab another booster pack. Because I love doing it. It brings joy to me. It makes this fun. But anyway, I was like, man, like I wish I had held on to all the booster packs that I've opened here to weave in and integrate, parts of them if they ever come through. Like I've saved the last 3 that I've opened. They're like still right here. And I was thinking about the one with the mind flayer. The one that was like, I think that one like preyed on like fear and stuff like that. But again, it's like, it's because of this energy of what Mars has reconciled within itself. It's no longer available. It's like shadows have, there are ports of entry. We have ports of entry. There are ports of entry on the light positive side and ports of entry on the shadow, not necessarily as positive side. Not to say anything of the dark side, just light and shadow right now. If our shadow is unresolved in some ways, then we become vulnerable and susceptible in those ways and in those areas. So those become like fears and worries and insecurities that people and energies that are not great can prey upon. There are industries that sustain themselves upon insecurity, but also there are industries that sustain themselves because people just want to look fabulous. You know what I mean? Like talking about the beauty industry. You don't have to be insecure to get dolled up. You don't have to be. You don't have to be insecure to be interested in fashion. You know what I mean? It is possible to have genuine, healthy, not based off of negative self-image interest in things. But primarily, especially narrative wise, it's the insecurity and the unattainable image that pushes a lot of consumption. And I'm not saying that it isn't true. I'm just saying that, there are some people that just like to dress up because they love it. So anyway, but it's like those become like ports of entry, ways that we can be sort of like, I guess, manipulated. It makes us susceptible to devil energy and to not great energies. But when we have those, when it's resolved in self, we become inaccessible in those ways. And that's, again, it goes back to this energy where it was like, oh, well, if we do this or if we do that, then Mars will take the bait. Mars is going to fly off the handle. Mars is going to be like a bull in a china shop and everything's going to get destroyed. But because Mars is solid internally, it doesn't, like, you're not going to get that rise out of Mars. Mars is like, yeah, no. I know things now that I didn't know before. And right now I can see what you're trying to do. And I'm not going to play the role in your narrative. I'm not going to play the character in your game. Let's see how it goes, shall we? And it's because of that, again, that they become immune to the whatevers of that mind flayer. And again, like we have this third eye here. Maybe that's, again, part of this. That's why it was like in between the solar plexus and the heart, because the solar plexus is where action and expression. I would say it's like the first point of expression, but the sacral can be expression, but it's just like, yeah, no. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to play into this. What was the other part? This is also like an intelligence. This is a complete like a complete knowing and understanding. Now, 9 is the card of like completion. 10 is a card of ascension. 10 is the going beyond. 9 is the completion of what we worked for at the 8 because of what was revealed to us at the 7. And I was going to say it looks like it's a pretty short leap from the 7 to the 9, but maybe that's this full energy. Because again, and maybe that's the energy where it is unaware. There's something, it's almost like the fool was flying. It's like the rainmaker, and how I've been talking about, like the rainmaker knows, like if I do this, then that happens. But the sorcerer knows more of the reasoning behind it. This would be more of the reasoning behind it. This is starting to understand the true principles. This is knowing that if I play this song and I walk calmly off of the ledge, I won't fall. But it's like, it's almost because the action 105.59, 106. Ooh. Oh wait, I got my on-screen keyboard that makes clicky noises every time oh wait. Hold up. Oh wait, I think I can do it easier. I click the plus button. No, what was it? There's a way where like you could just insert a timestamp. I thought somewhere. It was somewhere. I don't remember where. I hope everything goes well with your daughter, Holly. I really thought it was like a button or something somewhere. Is it up here? Timestamps. No, that just turns them on. Oh wow. What? What? YouTube is always doing YouTube is always doing something. It entertains me. I like new stuff. Anyway, back to the 9 of intelligence. Yeah, mind flayer. I also wonder, looking at how thoughts can create turmoil and finding a way to observe them from a dispassionate space of stillness. It's finding a way to observe thoughts. I personally, maybe this is Patrick coming into it, I don't think we have to be dispassionate to observe where a thought comes from. I think we can be in a space of passion. We can be in a space that is emotionally charged, realize that we're emotionally charged, take into account and consideration that, hey, maybe my emotions are affecting the way that I'm thinking right now because of how I'm feeling. But left is still left, right is still right, and wrong is still wrong. Like, just because I'm upset doesn't mean I'm incapable of coming to a reasonable conclusion. You know what I mean? King Solomon did it when he found the baby's real mom. If the baby's real mother would have acted dispassionately, that baby could have been cleaved in half. But anyway, we're people. It's fine. That's besides the point. That's besides the point. I'm going to try to be more like Mars and not rise to the bait that I put in front of myself, that the energy's put in front of me sometimes. And I take it and I go off and I'm like, you know what? Hey, March, how you doing? So, but with this, it would almost be able to see it in others. And there's also, again, like that halo-y thing giving me hangman energy. Oh, yeah. Also, sometimes when we're in touch and in tune with our shadows, they will alert us to like other shadows. Not only will it prevent us or protect us from being basically infiltrated, I guess, in a way, it can also defend against and alert us to the presence of other shadows. The rare gazelle had a reading within the past this year. The rare gazelle had this year. I'm not really a I don't want to say no, but I'm not really like, I guess it depends on the question. If you're asking if I can pull you a card, the answer is no. I don't pull cards unless I want to, I guess. And I'm doing something right now. So sorry, but there are plenty of people. If you need a card pulled for you, there are plenty of people here who will pull you a card, I'm pretty sure. Unless you just have a general question, which I guess you can ask, then go for it. Um, what was I talking about? Yeah, she had it was a Jaguar. I almost want to say it was Aquarius, but it could have been any sign. It could have been any sign. I don't remember. But Reem at the Rare Gazelle, she did say she saw the Jaguar that first was turned against the self, but then it turned against others. So I don't know if the transition of Mars from Aquarius to Pisces is it, if it's going to be like revealing, and this could also be about like motives, maybe not necessarily motives and intentions, maybe a little less motives and intentions. I mean, I guess it would still kind of be motives because it feels like this Mars and Aquarius from its space of centered, grounded, balancedness, wholeness within the self. It's almost like it would be able to see when someone is motivated by, I don't want to say forces outside of their control. Like, let's just say if the energy is real chaotic or whatever, like it's just in the air, that Mars or this transition is like, oh, like this is something that's in the air. This isn't necessarily the person that, like if we are distraught and emotionally sort of like all over and we're not ourselves, this is a Mars that would be able to go, oh, like they're going through this, they're experiencing that. That's why this person is coming at me however they're coming at me right now. Right. So it ain't necessarily personal, it's just what they're going through right now. So I'm going to hold my peace and I'm going to not take the bait. Maybe I need a Mars to teach me something. All right. So that's the transition. It's just like it's aware. But again, I'm not surprised because of the Seven of Swords and because of the Fool. Because of the Seven of Intelligence and the Fool, there's already an awareness here of like things going on behind the scenes or like other motivations. It's interesting, I guess we go from the doppelganger infiltration to mind flayers taking over the minds of the prison guards. Now, because this was like when I was talking about Mars and Saturn working together, and like that's the influence of Saturn that's helping Mars realize that it's so much more than the problem child with whatever. It's so much more than its narrative. It's the Saturn that helps Mars tap into its higher potentials. That it almost gives it a karmic influence because they're wardens in a prison. And assuming that this prison isn't filled with prisoners that were wrongfully convicted, it's like, I don't want to say like let karma do what it may, but like it would be different if it was a mind flayer that took over the minds of like a minister or a clergy person, a priest, somebody in the neighborhood, and like they started treating people like average, ordinary, everyday people a certain kind of way or whatever, but like it's a prison warden. And not to say that, whatever, but it's like karma. If karma comes, like that would be something. Again, this isn't a prison of people who are wrongfully convicted, or that's not the energy. Just in general, assuming that everyone who is in this prison deserves to be in that prison. And again, sure, there are still limits to how we should ethically and humanely treat prisoners. But it's like at the same time, like what's the saying? If you don't want to do the crime, don't do the. If you don't want to pay the time, don't do the crime. If you make your bed, then don't be surprised when you have to lay in it. Type of stuff. Like it's prison wardens. You know what I mean? And especially for Mars for this Fool energy to like not fall into the chaos, or to not have to go on whatever path that mountain volcano would put them on, and to be able to go right over it because of efforts. I don't know. Saturn gives us all equal opportunity. The divine gives us all opportunities to do better, rise above, to change if we really want to. And sometimes it's not until karma comes around or justice is making verdicts that we go like, oh, well, actually, like, and it's like, well, what's done is done. Free will is validated by the consequences that come with our actions. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter what we do. And that's not to say that there aren't those who find themselves in favor, seemingly or supposedly. Because, good and bad things happen to people. Not all of it necessarily deserved, but there are some things that are. So, anyway, 3 cards for Mars and Pisces. Mars and Pisces, please. If they all come out, if all 3 want to flip out at once, that's fine. I don't have to do these one by one. Oof. Oof, 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 oof. 798. We've seen this 8 before. I don't remember which 8 it is, but it's this one. This is interesting. This feels like, I'm going to read it this way. It may not be this way necessarily. This is how I'm going to read it for now until I get more context. It's almost giving me like a purging or a purifying light. This is a light that has some heat to it. This is a light that can and will incinerate. Almost like the light of judgment, the light of justice type energy. It was actually a flash of light that the hero slew the evil dragon with. So, and this is like to be protected from that aspect of the light. Basically, to not be to be found favorable when that light of judgment sort of comes down. But again, we'll see if this changes. I don't know. It is the 8 of wisdom. This is the 8 of wisdom. The 8 is a number of attaining mastery. There is something that we discover beyond the world that we knew so well. The 6 is the world that we know well. The 7 is the discovery of the spiritual, the intangible, the invisible forces beyond that. And then the 8 is where we start to really incorporate the knowings of those things into our observations and actioning, living of daily life. So that's why it's like the mastering of it. And then 9 is the completion, 10 is the like the mastery. 8 is the mastering of it, 10 is the mastery of it. Wisdom, that's been a thing. Finding a way out of past pain by having faith that something better is waiting for you. Graves of a cemetery appear to be robbed, but some say it was the dead that dug their way out. This is interesting because Mercury is about to retrograde. Mercury is going to be retrograding, conjuncting whatever I said, Eris. Maybe Mercury conjuncting Eris at the time of the solar eclipse, where Mars is going to be a degree away from Saturn and Pisces. I guess I never necessarily thought that the past could come back in a way that is like part of judgment, but I guess it's interesting that I call this the light of judgment, because when the dead walk again, that's Judgment Day. You know, because we all get judged at the same time, I think. So those who have passed, they come back to be judged, just like the living. I almost wondered too, and maybe it's because I mentioned it, that we don't have to be dispassionate to be capable of observing our thoughts, right? Having faith that something better is waiting for you. This is almost giving me, this is so weird. I mean, I guess it isn't. This is almost giving me the ebony shield. It's also giving me what's his name from the, see, that energy comes up every now and then. There's something about this light that doesn't feel like it's the way that we typically think of or view the light. Like typically when we think of the light, I don't think we think of being um uh like you know the word, where like there's the light that is so intense that it like fries somebody and then there's just a pile of ash. Like when we think of the light, I don't think we usually think of like the light of judgment and how we can be incinerated by the light. And I don't necessarily think we think of like a false light. A false light being something that comes in to offer reprieve when we really need it, but it's like taking advantage of us. It's like something of the shadow that presents itself as light. And when we're weary and worn down, we might take it. But because this is the 8 of wisdom, it's either we were wise enough to not be on the burning side of the light, but we're also wise enough to see beyond, to see to the truth of things here. Not everything is too good to be true. Most things, at the very least, have been narratively. Um, but so far, like the first card, But again, it's like we have the wisdom here to not. I feel like there's a lot of wisdom here. But again, I'm not surprised because how what Mars read like when I did. I'm not even before that. Like when everything was conjuncting Pluto back in Capricorn, when it was like Saturn conjuncted Pluto in Capricorn, went into Aquarius, and then Jupiter conjuncted Pluto in Capricorn on its way into Aquarius when Saturn retrograde, so that it could be prograde at the 0 degree, so it can conjunct with, so Saturn and Jupiter can conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius on like what, the winter solstice that year, the year of the Christmas star, 21, 22, 2020. Like there were aspects that Mars was making to Saturn, or it's like Mars was in Capricorn or something. Like Mars was making aspects where, like, even though it wasn't there, Mars, that was the beginning of Mars's quest or the beginning of Mars's journey. At least to me, that's what it was feeling like. And so again, like that's why I'm not surprised. That's why I wasn't surprised when Mars was conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn in the position that it was in. And when Mars was leaving Pluto with the mission that it would be on or whatever. I'm not surprised that Mars has grown this wise. And maybe that's another thing about Pisces too, is that Pisces can sometimes be so far above our realm of understanding. Or Pisces could be so deep in the mystical, ethereal, magical, spiritual, hypothetical, ethereal, barely real, if real at all, that it becomes very easy. It's almost like it could become very easy for things to appear in a way that they are not. Right? Like, let's say that you don't know what an apple is, and I bring you a banana, and I'm like, hey, here's an apple. You wouldn't necessarily have any reason to distrust me unless I'm not trustworthy. But that's like our intuition and discernment. Sometimes I think, again, we can put ourselves in a position to like just be open, that, or we could be in a position to just be open, or we can be so desiring and seeking of things that are greater and more mysterious and mystical and beyond, that it might dull the intuition or discernment if our discernment is like developed to the point of being able to like detect it. But also then it plays into confirmation bias, right? Like things that we want to hear, things that we want to believe. Like, who doesn't want to be special? Who doesn't want to have some kind of super cool past life origin story? Who doesn't want this soulmate that they incarnate with time and time and time and time and time again? Like, who's going to look at or listen to any of that and be like, oh, yeah, that doesn't resonate for me? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not me. Probably not many people. And it's almost like it's because of that that we can almost be a little bit more gullible or a little bit more susceptible. And because, again, especially when we're new, because we don't know anything, something could be 5% truth or 10% truth or 15% truth. And it's more true, or it resonates as more true than what we knew before. So we buy into it wholesale. And we pick up on a whole bunch of stuff that may not necessarily be for us. But since it's more true than what we knew before, it's like, we got to believe it, all of it. And it's like, maybe that's like, I don't know. I'm also weird where it's like, because there have been times where it's like, sometimes with the knowing and the knowledge that I have, if someone says something that goes against maybe a common misconception, I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's something that I've learned to be true. That's something that I know to be true. That's something that I believe to be true. The rest of this, like, there's no correlation to the truth that you just pointed out to me. You give me a little bit of truth to make me view you as trustworthy, and then to have me buy into whatever you're selling me. The rest of this makes no sense. Like there is some stuff. But again, like I feel like that's also part of the time, at least that we were living in, where it's like we craved and we sought so much truth because governments and big pharma and this and that, like everything was so unbelievable. And there were some people who were taken advantage of. But this is a wisdom. This is an intunement with oneself that helps us again. The transition is being able to see beyond it to the truth of whatever. So this wisdom is doing some pretty wild things, it seems. Hold up. Here's another page. Now I don't know which pages I've seen and which pages I haven't seen. Did I even look at the pages or did I just read page? Pages are all over this. But I don't necessarily, like, to me, there's a page 2.0 or a page 3.0 or a page 4.0. Like, we know something until we become comfortable in that knowing. When we're comfortable in that knowing and we feel like we have a good grasp on it enough to live and to express that knowing, we feel like we're kings and queens. And then when we hit that 7, like the king and queen is the 6, because that's when we're in harmony with the world around us. But when we hit that 7, we found out that there's even more than we thought. Now, sometimes it's like, do we have the courage to learn all over again? Or are we so whatever that we just hold fast to our knowing, even when the divine, the universe, the world around us, people in our lives are showing us that, like, hey, it's more complicated, it's more complex, it's different, it's grown, it's evolved, it's mature, it's not as simple, it's not as easy as we may think. Do we have the courage to step down off the throne and to become a page again, the page 2.0? And then on the journey, that's like the 7. And then there's the 8 that I guess would be the 9, or the 8 that would be the knight, the 9 that would be the queen, and then the 10 that would become the king, the master, the true master, truer master. Oh, look, there's the other page. See, that's the shortcut, the golden light spilling through the door. Y'all know how I feel. If you don't know how I feel about tigers, then it's fine. This video was already like an hour and a half long. I don't have to go into it, but I love tigers. The star and the 10 of whatever this is. This 10 is so interesting. Oh, and it's coming out with the star. The star is the healer. This again is the person that's made peace with their own inner darkness, their own inner shadows, um, their own not character flaws, their own shortcomings, I guess. And a person who doesn't allow their shortcomings the person who doesn't allow their shortcomings to stop them from being that productive member of society. Someone that doesn't have to be a menace, you know what I mean? With the healer, with the star again. Aquarius with Aquarius. That was some planet in Virgo. Oh, wow. Did you hear how that hit the table? I love. Oh, well. This is 3 cards. 2 of these cards we've already seen. Before I read, or before I reveal the title of this, I love how this person is emerging. And it's so funny because this is the world. Okay, so the second card behind this was the world. I'll reveal it to you. There's the world. We've seen this in the Diablo Tarot, the deck. I was like, oh, I could grab that. How in the Diablo Tarot, there were all those hands grasping for the World Stone, the Soul Stone, all those people in line to be the next one in charge, the next one in possession of whatever. But there was the card at the bottom of the deck that was like, none of you get this. None of you. And then it goes through all the reasons why this person won't inherit and that person won't inherit and the other person won't inherit. It's because that It's because they're still so like internally, externally motivated. It's almost like they're too susceptible. Like how in the shadow or even in the light, but it was more like in the shadow, how all of those things that we may have unresolved within us can be ports of entry for anything and anybody. That's what makes us sometimes so easy to manipulate, right? It's like, oh, it's like, hey, Bob, can you bring me that banana? And Bob's like, no, I don't feel like it. And then they're like, what? Are you scared? Are you scared of a banana? Bob's like, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything. I'm going to go do the thing that I don't want to do to prove to you that I'm not what you're calling me right now. I'm going to compromise myself and what I want and my integrity to prove to you that I'm not a coward. And it's like so easy to manipulate. You know what I mean? This is the Bob that's like, yeah, no. Not only am I not gonna go get you that banana, I see through exactly what you're doing right now. And if you're gonna call me scared, if you're gonna call me a chicken, that's fine. Because guess what? I'm still not getting up and getting you that banana. Now, obviously, getting a banana probably isn't as compromising as the response that I'm giving. It's a metaphor, okay? But that's how easy we can be sometimes. Or again, it can prey on an insecurity. It can prey on whatever. Like, oh, well, this person is doing it and I don't want to look like I'm any less than that other person. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it too. Like I'm in this imaginary, non real competition with some other person. So because they're doing it, I got to do something better. It's like, even though you don't want to, even though it would bring you absolutely no fulfillment, even though your path lies elsewhere and your happiness and your joy and everything that you want lies elsewhere, you're going to go and do this so that you don't appear like it's stuff like that. That's the reason why none of those others inherited whatever was at that world card. Because it's like, again, like imagine the kingdoms and the empires that would fall if the kings, queens, emperors, and empresses were that easy to manipulate. Imagine how easy it would be to set up ambush or pitfalls or whatever. Like, oh, I bet you're too scared to march your entire army into a black hole. And they're like, oh, I'm not too scared. And then it's like, girl, well, who's going to protect the borders now that you, anyway, it's fine. You get it. So this was the person on the sun card that emerged on the horse, like the person who was going to take possession, the one who had did whatever. And there they are, coming in with the cape, with that lit up heart space that we saw in the other ace. I think that was an ace. That was all like swirly and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is the standstill. This is the person that was standing in that space. There they are, emerging. And guess what card this is? Oh, look, there's Big Angel up there. Backing them like, yeah, they got this. So they did the work in the shadows. They learned the lesson from Saturn. They got the blessing of the dark and the blessing of the light. That's the blessing of the dark. No shadow. Because they integrated their own shadow anyway. So are you ready to guess what this card is? It's judgment. What? Crazy, right? That's wild. That's wild. Just because I was talking about the light of judgment. Maybe this is another thing that makes this person, again, it's like this feels like an intense light. This feels like a light that is either going to burn or it feels like a false light that is meant to deceive. And this person is immune. Why are they immune? Because, they're backed by whatever. They're validated. And they're back. She's giving me the Fool card in the Pride Tarot, actually. I'm pretty sure that's the Pride Tarot. And then after Judgment is the World, 2021. Maybe 2021 was the year that we had the Christmas star. Because here's 20 and 21. Judgment in the World. Again, we had that completion. And then there's another major of the Hanged Man. This one was at the bottom of the deck. This one was at the bottom of the deck. I'm talking about both of these. Cool. So this is the second energy of. See, this feels like it's pulling on that Sun in Libra somehow. Sun in Aries, Sun in Libra. And there was like for the person who was resurrected, the person who the Valkyries deemed as worthy, and the Ten of Swords and death, and then it was the other card and the other card. But there's something here about like getting in touch. See, I almost would like read this backwards. Well, not necessarily backwards. This is someone getting in touch with something deep within themselves. This is the person who emerges when these two come together. You can even see like part of the shadow, I guess, on the floor. This is like that moment of integration. This is the person emerging fully integrated. And there's something about these ripples. And I guess I did mention that recently, within the past week, I'm sure. It was the attraction. So yeah, it was this. I kind of sort of did in a way, but maybe didn't in this way. Because I remember mentioning that like the ripples on the pond, some things are going to ride the ripple inwards, and then some things are going to ride the ripple out. So there are going to be some things that our energy naturally repels. And then at the same time that those things are being repelled, other things are riding that same wave like in. Every time I do that, I feel my arms jiggle. Anyway. Oh, and then the Empress is at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, the Empress of Attraction. Look at her. This Empress is giving me the energy of the Queen of Swords. It was I don't remember what deck it was in, but there was a Queen of Swords, Queen of Air in a deck. It was at the end of the knowledge, speaking of wisdom, knowledge plus experience equals wisdom, perception, and wisdom and perception and intuition with all the question marks or whatever. Because I was like, there was the 17 of the, to like do a perception check. And like the check was 17. I was like, oof. But there was the Queen of Swords who was like giving a hint. Like she threw like a cup or something. And then I was like, oh, like our discernment, our intuition, that's how we can perceive these things, or that's how we know of these things even when we can't perceive them. Our intuition and our discernment will alert us to that, because there was that tiny little butterfly on the Queen of Earth where it's like it would be so easy to not even notice that things have shifted in some small way, or that things are beginning to shift more and more and more. And there was a Queen of Swords that was like throwing us a bone of like, it's your intuition. Your intuition is what alerts you to the things that you can't perceive of and that you don't know of. Why am I thinking of her? Maybe, I don't know. There's something about the way she's like giving side eye. But she's not. And look, there's the World again. I feel like I've been seeing the World on cards that aren't necessarily world cards. What does it mean? I don't know. I got limits, okay? I got a capacity of like, let's just let the mystery be the mystery. Take it as it resonates. Watch it unfold in your life, however it unfolds for you. If it's resonant for you, if it doesn't resonate, don't take it. Like, don't. If I'm not for you, don't watch me. Don't even waste your time. Honestly, there are so many amazing readers who will answer your questions and who probably resonate for you that will help you along your path journey anyway. If I'm not it, that's fine. No personal offense taken. But I've been seeing them, and I'm like, what's up with all this world energy in the hands of who? Depicted on these cards. But anyway, she's giving me that. There's something, again, it's these waves, it's these ripples, it's whatever that happens when they get so close to touching. And look, there's like a ball of light. I wonder how much resistance that has. Maybe it depends. Like, I wonder how easy it is to like reach through that and to touch. Because it feels like, obviously not for everybody, it feels like this little ball of clear light, whatever, has a lot of resistance. Like, you would have to not struggle to get your hand through it to touch, but it's almost like putting two magnets that repel each other, trying to put them together, overcoming the force of repulsion to put these magnets together. And it's almost like that's what's creating all of these waves, or that's what sends out all of these ripples, because of the resistance that's being overcome, because of the force that's like dissipating as you bring together things that may naturally repel each other. And that's almost giving me, again, Sun in Aries, Sun in Libra. Because with Moon in Aries, like Sun in Aries just had an energy that was like, but that's also the acolyte of Bahamut, where power and kindness can unite under the same banner, where two things that are seemingly opposing can be like simultaneously true. And not only can they both be true, but when we overcome all of the ways that like they're different or they're polar opposites and why they could never coexist, it's like they actually strengthen the truth of the other. And maybe it's like as we bring these things together, the whole veil just like drops. Maybe it's a veil dropper where we could see these seemingly opposing forces like work together. And then that's the, like, oh my gosh, like the world is so much more than whatever. Because these two things actually like support the truth and strengthen the truth of the other. Like they're not opposites like we would think. What? It's non-polarized unity, whatever, non-duality. And then the Empress is like, yeah. Now do you see how the world really works? And you're just like, oh, what? But the Eight of Wisdom is here, which is mastering something. So it goes beyond the intellect. I also like that we move from the intellect into wisdom. We started with charisma. Hey, Sandra, how are you doing? All right. Last thing for Mars and Pisces. Last for Mars and Pisces, please. Who was that? I'm not going to take it. I'm going to do this so you can see you see that? And I'm going to try to, there we go. I thought that was the page. That ain't a page, that's the 10. That's the 10 of intelligence. We've gotten the 7, the 9. We saw the 8 of intelligence first. 7, 9, saw 8, 10 of intelligence. This is like, so it was Mars in Aquarius, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised that there's so much energy of intelligence. That's the 10 of intelligence. Why did I think that was the page? Maybe I did see the page of intelligence then. I totally saw the page of intelligence. The page of intelligence was the one at the bottom of the deck. That's the card that came out that revealed that standstill energy. She was the first page that I saw. Hello? And again, it's in the suit of intelligence. That page is giving me page, especially after all of this 7, 8, 9, 10 of intelligence. She's definitely giving me page 2.0. Like there was the way that we knew logic, but again, like that's the veil dropper. So of course it's page 2.0 anyway. It's kind of wild, low key. Low key, low key, low key. If it resonate and it hit, then take it. If it don't, then don't take it, you know? Ooh, another 10 with the death card. There's a bear. Is that Wilson the Refined Grizzly? Maybe not. I am doing well. I'm a little sad that it's Friday. I'm glad that today is Friday because I got paid. Love that I got paid. Love that for me. Because this year, with like vacation and things being weird, like two out of my first three paychecks, I was like 16 hours short. That's like almost an entire week that I didn't get paid for. And I'm like, so I can breathe now. Like we're caught up. Okay. So I'm very happy that today is Friday. Today's a payday. But also like that's in a whole week of my vacation that is gone. So I'm like, oh, I'm a little sad. Oh, look, there's that 10 again at the bottom of the deck. It's funny that this isn't the 10 of intelligence, but there's a sword that's so prominently featured. Is that like a goblin head? I don't know what's going on there. Maybe like there's the bad goblin imps and then there's the good goblin imps. Maybe these are the internal goblin imp things, and then that's one that tried to infiltrate. And look what happened to it. It's like, yeah. They were like, oh boss, like that's not one of like he, she, they are not one of us. This is us. That ain't us. And then the goblin is actually the one that beheaded it. The shadow was the one that took care of the infiltrator. Or maybe that's an orc. He is looking a little green. But anyway, it's that kind of energy. So we got two cards. We have a king. And we have this 5 as the third thing. It's interesting that the root of the tree is the sword. It's like the sword and the earth. See, I feel like that shouldn't be surprising because of the mastery of intelligence. Because of the veil dropper energy, because the Empress was like, this is how the world really works. But since we're in intelligence, or since we're so far in the suit of intelligence, this is a logical understanding and knowing of it. Again, almost lending to that Archangel of Glory as the Sage of Souls energy, like knowing the true workings, because we are so clear and so honest on what the world is, who we are. Now we can really see how things operate when we're not being mind flayed without our knowledge, you know? This 5 is interesting though. What the freak is going on here? I don't even think I read those cards in the book, and that is completely fine. Judgment, the World, and the Hanged Man. So that is not the 5 of charisma. Wait, I gotta look for kings too. This is giving me King of Charisma energy. This is not the King of Charisma. If it was the King of Charisma, that would be kind of wild because the King of Charisma also kind of looks like a bard. This is not the King of Wisdom. This is not the 5 of Wisdom. This is not the King of Intelligence. This is not the Five of Intelligence. So this is the King of Strength and the Five of Strength. King of Strength confirmed. Five of Strength confirmed. Have we seen Strength? Charisma, intelligence, wisdom, strength. So now we get to the last suit. Yeah, well, we did have a mind flayer. I don't know if you caught the mind flayer, but those of flayed and fragile minds, being focused totally on being in the moment to work together effectively, letting go of competition. I don't know necessarily. I feel like I come off as more competitive and controversial and a whole bunch of other stuff than I maybe perceived. Because for me, like, again, like, there are things that I can notice, but I'm not necessarily going to say anything until it was time for North Node activation. And I was like, okay, this is wild. I feel like, and I don't, it's just that, like, I think sometimes, and it's interesting because I said it about, and again, I'm not coming for anybody necessarily. I'm not trying to call anybody out necessarily. But I said it like there was something about indigo energy. And there was something about those who identify as like indigo children, where it's like if we're not careful, we can start to rebel against the very things that we wish to see in the world. We can start to dismantle the systems that will support the world that we want to live in before they've even really got a good anchoring and foundation, because it's a system where we rebel, where some rebel for the purpose of rebelling. And then it's like, sometimes we will manifest things for our lives and for the world at large, but then we will actively work against the anchoring and the actualization of those manifestations. Like, how can we manifest an end to world hunger, but we don't want to feed nobody? Like, we don't want kids to get free lunch. We don't want the homeless to be fed, but we're manifesting an end to world hunger. Well, how are we going to end world hunger when we work against feeding the people that are hungry? You know what I mean? Or like we manifest world peace, but instead of working alongside ending inequality and inequities and injustices in the world, we instead promote silence, or we demand like silence. But it's like that works against the peace, the same very peace that we're manifesting when we tell the suffering and the oppressed and the disenfranchised to like shut up because we don't want to hear it. You're disrupting my illusion of the peace that I'm manifesting. And then it's like, well, girl, like that's the actualization of the manifestation. Like at that point, that's when I'm like, okay, just like to be aware of maybe how sometimes we actually work against our manifestations. We work against the things that we claim to want to see in the world. And it is what it is. And I'm glad I didn't get any spicier than that. You know what I mean? Because I could have, but at the end of the day, the divine, well, at the end of the day, girl, it's taken care of. Okay. I just got to make sure I'm doing in my life and doing my part in my way in my life to see the world that I want to see and to be the person I want to be and to have the life that I want to have. So, yes, Five of Strength, letting go of competition, a traveling. Oh, I already read this one. This is what I opened the book up to randomly when I saw the Eight of Intelligence. A traveling circus's giant spider has died, leaving its owner distraught. Can you get some giant spider eggs for him to hatch? Is that a giant spider egg? I don't know. The King of Strength, fully expressing your powers of leadership and realizing your vision, teaching others. While traveling, the party comes across a nest of yuan ti that are planning on enslaving a nearby village. Oof. not talking about manifesting world peace and standing against the very manifestation of world peace when the message of this, the quest of this king of strength is to thwart a nest of Yuan Ti that are planning on enslaving a nearby village. How easy would it be for the king of his own village to be like, oh, well, that's not my village. That's their problem. If they get enslaved, then, oh, well, I guess. Let's just not. Let's just not. It's fine. A traveling circus's giant spider has died. So the death of the giant spider can again almost be living beyond a textured reality or living at the edge of a textured reality. It's like the giant spider had woven this giant cosmic web, but because the spider died, the upkeep of the web is going to die, and so there needs to be a new giant spider to weave a new web. And when this new giant spider weaves the new web, there's going to be the tale of the Mars that is, the Mars that has grown wise, the Mars that has grown a wisdom and intelligence that matches its strength, that meets its strength. It's like before Mars could have been like very powerful, but maybe easily manipulated, or maybe just like Mars went where the money was. You know what I mean? You pay me to go take care of a problem, I take care of the problem, I get paid. Like a cell sword. Is that what you call them? But now in the new weaving, in the new narrative, Mars is like, Mars has grown to its power. So Mars and Pisces. But again, yeah, it's Mars and Pisces. Like it's the new dream. It's the realizing of things. What's a Yuan Ti? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's fine. I'll do it on my phone. I was gonna like open up a new tab and screen share and use all the fancy new YouTube features, but it's fine. We don't have to do all that. Yuan Ti, D&D. Oh, it looks like a Naga. Almost. She's giving Naga from what I can see. Serpent folk. A collective race of serpent folk, also known as the snake people of Malatra, who were seen as corrupt and degenerate monsters by other races. This is what they look like in 5e. So I was like, oh, almost reminds me of like a Naga. But maybe like not necessarily the same. They varied greatly from nearly human-like to nearly snake-like, but all had some serpentine features. Scale colors were usually simple greens and browns, but more elaborate swirls, stripes, or diamond patterns were possible, even in blues and reds. They gave off almost no scent that a human could detect, but animals could sense a dry, musty odor from their bodies. Only the most human-like forms wore clothing, but all varieties wielded weapons if they had means to carry them. Those are the snake people that are planning on enslaving a nearby village. And I'm done. I draw the line at snake people. Okay. Interesting. Cool. That was D&D Tarot for Mars and Pisces. Mars transiting from Aquarius to Pisces. Mars and Aquarius had so much like growth and so much intelligence and so much. Like it feels like Mars and Pisces is low key going to be a little wild. And I guess it's also interesting that Mars would be able to see those motivations. Oh, then look. That Mars would be able to see those motivations. And then for the final card to be like a nearby village is going to be enslaved by snake people who range from nearly human-like to nearly snake-like. And if we're talking about snake people in terms of snakes in the grass, and not necessarily the way that we've been seeing snake, because snake has been coming out as like so whatever lately. I feel like I was gonna say something. Like I know what I was gonna say, but maybe it's just that like manipulation and infiltration. Because like they're nearly human-like, but they all have serpentine features. Mars has an eye, has a discerning. Mars has a very, very, very discerning eye. But again, like it's been looking that way since Mars well, yeah, because that was Mars conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius. That was the energy of Mars in Aquarius. Mars is, maybe that'll be the title. Mars has unlocked the magical secrets feature. and it's got the power. It's got the power and the strength that it's always had. That's why it's the tiger. It's almost like Mars has graduated from a lion to a tiger. But like no ordinary tiger. Tigers have the strength to affect the balance, but it's almost like it's a balance that need be affected. There's a rebalancing that need happen. Our final card was the first card. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Good Eats. Maybe it's just like Mars and Pisces also has the potential to bring very, very, very amazing things. Kinship. This is the Queen of Charisma, creating a nurturing space for yourself and others to achieve greatness, maintaining a work-life balance. Love that. A farmer claims that his goose that lays golden eggs has been stolen by a cyclops and is asking for your help in getting it back. Oh, look, and then there's our page. The page of intelligence, the first page that was at the bottom of the deck. The one I was like, I didn't even see the page. The page that I said I didn't even see was the first one that I saw. I just didn't know it at the time. I didn't realize. I didn't recognize. I guess I lied because I didn't know that I had seen it, but I did. Anyway. There was something about, oh, yeah, it was a question. And maybe that's why the page of intelligence is here. Like, really? Because this is the page of intelligence 2.0. So a random farmer, is claiming that his goose that lays golden eggs got stolen by a cyclops. As if golden egg laying geese are common run of the mill. Oh, every farmer has a goose that lays golden eggs. I'm like, or did it belong to the cyclops? And the farmer went and took it, and then the cyclops got it back. Because it makes more sense to me that a cyclops, like the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk, would have a goose that lays golden eggs. Like, why would some average, ordinary, run of the mill farmer, how did they get their hands on a goose that lays golden eggs? Wouldn't there be a whole flock of them? Wouldn't a golden egg laying goose come from another goose that lays golden eggs? Wouldn't they hatch from golden eggs? Wouldn't there be like a whole flock of golden egg laying geese that this farmer would have? But the cyclops stole it? Sounds to me like this farmer is trying to take advantage of some kind-hearted, good-natured people to get them in, go and commit atrocities in the names of reclaiming things that aren't even theirs to claim. It never belonged to the farmer. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm just making it up. But that page of swords is looking inquisitive. Maybe I will admit that I might be projecting right now. But it's just like, it's one of those things, again, like logically, like would a golden egg-laying goose not come from another goose that lays golden eggs? So did it hatch from a golden egg, or are the golden eggs like unfertilized eggs? And if there's one golden egg-laying goose that the farmer has, like, who did you get it from? Wouldn't it come from a whole flock of geese who are capable of doing the same? But you only got one? And the Cyclops took it. A Cyclops came and stole your. And then it's like, I would look at the state of the city, because if a Cyclops came and caused some damage, you would see some damage. And it's like, oh, everything is perfectly fine. Nothing is out of place. But a Cyclops came and just plucked your golden goose without trampling the fence or destroying the house or doing anything. And the Cyclops stole your golden goose. See, this is where Mars would be like, usually I am one to go and, shed some blood. I do love a good quest. I do love a good conquest. But something ain't making sense to me, Mr. Farmer. The farmer got mind flayed by somebody that couldn't get to Mars through its shadow. I'm just kidding anyway. Maybe I'm not. Take it as it resonates. The card that came out, well, because the 2 of charisma came out again, maybe it is that, like, oh yeah, something's not adding up here. The farmer is the demon. Got it. Easy. Farmer was mind flayed. We got it. Cyclops, you can keep your goose. I'm so sorry that these farmers keep sending humans to come climb your beanstalks and steal all of your valuables. Maybe one of these days they'll learn the value of honest, good, hard work. But they fear Saturn, so maybe not. They're all about their Jupiters now. They're all about their Zeuses, but when it was Saturn, it was the golden age. When it's Zeus, everybody's begging for crumbs. But all hail the great benefactor of the sky, the blesser and the giver of all things fortunate, Jupiter. Anyway, was that necessary? Maybe not. It's fine. It is what it is. Don't just take what resonates and let me be melodramatic, okay? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and what you find, I hope that you take what resonates and that you just throw the rest away. And I hope you a good meal, because I am starving now. I am so hungry. I just had to finish the iced coffee. I kind of want like a final. I'm gonna check one more. It shouldn't be in there. I'm gonna check one more thing. I'm gonna do one more round of checks to see what's before and after that bridge of the shortcut. And if I can't find it, then that'll be that. Ooh. I kind of got potty. I've had a lot of beverages today. And it is time to release some liquids. TMI, I know. I go to the bathroom too. I'm human. I don't think anyone's questioning whether or not I go to the bathroom, but see, it's not in here. Like it's so small that it wouldn't be, unless it's so small that I put it in one of these cracks or crevices to fill space. But I didn't. Wait. No, it's not in here. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I wanted to use La Fruma. Because it's been a while since I've used La Fruma. La Fruma got left out. I put all the other decks away. I guess I could just pull a card from La Fruma. Yeah. I'll just pull a final card from La Fruma and then we'll end this. The Bard's Mysterious Magic continues to be a mystery. Beware of bananas dressed up like that's what I'm saying. Beware of bananas dressed up like snakes because they may actually be apples. And I guess that's the reason why an apple a day would keep the doctor away, because doctors cannot revive the dead, unfortunately. Once the apple, that is the banana, that's actually a snake, gets to them, they're as good as gone. All right, Lafruma. I know it's been a while, but let's get one final card to wrap up. Cool. Ooh, and it's a good one. Bottom of the deck is Tears, Smelt. Love it. There's a certain fiery element to that. The other card is Feor, Fire, Ether Life. So we got fire and we got smelting. I feel like more often than not, you smelt things with fire. So what a combination. The fiery cosmic wormhole heightens ancient dragon beams, intensifying sensory chimera codes that sweep down, bleed down, feed around your entire being, burnishing back delusions and deceits. Burnishing back delusions and deceits. Wow, oh my gosh, really? Not Mars being intelligent enough to see through the mind flayer. Sacred fires bind to you, weaving new knowledge between your cells, through your cells, igniting and relighting the life that felt lost. The dragon's breath fuels and drives and delivers sacred enlightenment. Kind of low-key, high-key, love that. So whatever that sacred enlightenment, whatever that new knowledge weaving between your cells is, if now you know how to fly, because Mars and Aquarius learned through however it learned, Lafruma was like, yeah, that's what happened. I'm like, okay, I see it. I get it. It makes sense. Also, we did see that judgment card. And I was like, wow, who is that? Bottom of the deck, Tear, Smell, proto-god so old that time has smelted all emotions within. War and fury have been hammered, reformed, made over, recreated, refashioned through the compassion to understand all shadows, all destinies as part of the whole. Under the tutelage of Tyr, all blows, all hammer clangs, and all strikes glow from the flow of love's breath he offers to all life. Wisdom is beauty and compassion, ageless. So the breath of Tyr, we get the breath of the dragon that delivers enlightenment. Cool. Love it. I feel like that was perfect. Thanks, Lafruma. You're always a pal. And yeah, with that, I've already closed the video, but I everything that I hope for you again and more. I hope your heart's desires, more than I hope your heart's desires come true. I honestly, truly, genuinely, from me, personally, full projection, hope that you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope you act in ways that encourage the fruition of your desires, like truly. I say that, but I also I hope that you wish good, I hope you desire good things. You know what I mean? Because if you're desiring some not great things for other people or the rest of the planet, if you only have if the bandwidth of the capacity of your desire is just for you, everyone else be darned, then I don't know if I necessarily co-sign that. But if you're desiring things that at the very least bring no harm to others, but more than that will bring flourish the world, girl, I hope it for you. I would love to see it. And with that, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.